Hi, I'm Gauvin, and after being the #2 ranked archer in the world and the #1 ranked archer in the US, I decided to make the switch to recurve for 2017. Everyone wants to know why. Well, there's a great blog post on my website. I encourage any of you that are interested in the full reason why to check it out. But really, I was ready for a new challenge. As a female in the sport of archery, I wasn't able to make a living shooting my bow, no matter what level I got to. And so to travel around the world and work a full-time job was a huge commitment. It meant time away from my husband, and it was ultimately more sacrifices than I was willing to make for just the opportunity to travel around the world representing my country. And with Recurve, I have the option to try out for the Olympics and go for Tokyo in 2020. So I decided what better time than right after this last Olympic cycle to make the switch and go for it. There's a lot of challenges. After basically only shooting a compound bow the last 3.5 years, recurve is a totally different animal. I have to anchor differently, I have to train differently, I had to start with a much lighter bow. I was always someone with a very strong upper body as a swimmer growing up, and so with compound I was able to jump right into a normal weight bow for competition, and with recurve you can't do that. You got to get the form down. So I started with a 16-pound light bow, just training with that, getting my form down, and have worked my way up, but I'm still not at the level that I need to be at for outdoor season to reach 70 meters easily and have my arrows get there as accurately as possible. So working on building up the strength with the form. So another big difference I've found between recurve and compound is the physical side of things. And a lot of people think that means just going out and running 50 miles a day. That's not what I mean. What I mean is with compound, I could go 3 days without shooting. I could pick up my bow on the 4th day, and those first couple shots may feel a little rusty, but I'd get right back into it. It wasn't a big deal. I didn't feel like my training suffered. My shooting really suffered. Now with recurve, just taking a day or 2 off, now I try to build in rest days into my training plan, but I can't go 3 days and pick the bow back up the next day and be at the level where I was when I put the bow down 3 days prior. And again, this comes back to physical fitness, but it's also just for me, I'm so new with the form, and I've had to retrain my brain. So remembering the draw cycle, the little nuances with this muscle or that muscle, and my brain has to remember those over and over again. So I need to, for me right now, consistency is more important than arrow volume. Now, as I reach higher level, as I retrain my brain, that arrow volume is going to become much more critical versus compound. Again, there's times in the season where I could get away shooting maybe averaging 50 arrows a day. With recurve, the top recurve shooters are shooting 200, 300 arrows a day, is my understanding. So to hold the strength of that bow, pull through that clicker, you really need to have a full body awareness. What I found, the funniest thing when I went out to the training center the first week I started shooting, is I woke up the first day after training all day the day before with Coach Lee, and I couldn't get out of bed. My legs were so sore. And this blew my mind because I had no idea that in archery your legs were that important. As a compound shooter, yes, you want to be stable, especially in the wind, but I wasn't actually using my legs ever as anything more than just a base. With recurve, you're actually activating your leg muscles to align, especially if you're using the NTS system, I guess. Not everybody is probably using their legs, but with the NTS system, it's very important to activate those leg muscles so then you can coil properly your upper body, that contrast, which gives you the strength and power you need. It was really hard for me to determine what was realistic, what was not realistic for goals for the year. So I tried to kind of have varying levels of very realistic to kind of long shot goals. So just to give you guys an example, when I set goals, I start with my furthest goal and I kind of work my way back. So with the long-term goal of Tokyo obviously in mind, I had to look back of where I needed to be this year. And so I set some goals that were score specific goals. I set some goals that were training specific. So for example, right now, my goal for this indoor season is to be doing SPTs 6 days a week. I know that for me right now, going into outdoor season, the most important thing is building up my strength, getting to a heavier poundage limb. So one of my goals, and it's a very specific goal, again, 6 days a week doing SPTs. I had the goal to shoot both Lancaster and Vegas. I wanted to put myself out there right away at a national level tournament. I can shoot local tournaments, yes, but I wanted to get out there, shoot those, and I have a goal of making the top flight in Vegas. Again, I don't know how realistic that is, but I want to be able to say that I'm shooting at least, I may be in the bottom of that flight, that's fine, but my goal is just to make that top flight and be with the top shooters that I hope to be shooting with later in the year. Typically, I go into Arizona Cup having shot outside once or twice, basically to get sight marks. So it's really going to be a learning experience for me. I recognize that. However, my goal, again, I don't know how realistic this is, but my goal is to make the top 8 there, because the top 8 get put into the trials for World Championships. Now, why is that important? Again, I don't think I'm going to make the World Championships team, but by making the trials, I get to shoot the round robins, which will give me a lot of experience against the best of the best here in the US. And I think that'll help me later, as it worked for me on compound. I went to a trials, my second ever compound tournament, Texas Shootout in 2013, and I got that 8th spot, the very last spot, and I think there was only 8 of us who signed up for the trials. So I literally got in by the skin of my teeth, but I got to shoot against previous #1s in the world, previous world championship, and I won a couple matches. I didn't win half of my matches, but I won maybe 2 or 3. And that gave me confidence that yes, I can shoot against the best women in the world. And I think that really made a difference for me. So that's a huge goal for me. Just on a personal level, I think it'll really help me down the road. Another goal for outdoor season is, again, I have some score goals. I have some goals related to SPTs. I'm gonna be less SPTs per week, because hopefully I'm built up to the weight. It'll just be maintaining that weight. So I want to be shooting more arrows versus SPTs, but that's built in. I would really like a top 10 finish at Outdoor Nationals. Now, I did talk about the downside of the schedule. The benefit for me with my switch with the schedule is all but Arizona and Gator Cup. So that means SoCal Shootout and Texas Shootout, 2 of the USAT tournaments, as well as Outdoor Nationals, are later in the year this year, meaning they're August or September. So it actually gives me much more time to get familiar with the bow, be shooting 70 meters more. So I have a goal of top 10 at Nationals and ultimately a goal of top 8, so making the USAT team in the Recurve women's division. Again, I'm fine with that 7th or 8th spot. I don't know how realistic it is, but trying to set goals that push myself to align me for my goals moving forward.